Hello, Sandra Embleton here. I've been receiving downloads and messages from God, Spirit, all week. God, Great Spirit speaks through me. And so you get visited by God, Great Spirit, Creator, Source. For me, it works how a number of days prior to making a video, I start getting all this information coming in. I'm going, well, how do I present this? How can I make a good presentation out of all this information I'm receiving? So remember I told you earlier in earlier videos about a thought thread, so I'll just start my thought thread, and as I go back to the beginning of the thought thread that got me into where I am right now, speaking on video, that thought thread started, I think it was on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, today's Tuesday. So Saturday I was reading and meditating, and then I put on a video, and there's this young girl speaking about a Pleiadian message, and I really liked the context of her message. It was very strong and very powerful, and it was just a reminder that the answers that you're looking for are not out here, they're in here. And so to be able to look in here, you'll find everything you need. And how you look inside here is to know thyself. Well, what do you know about yourself? And if you don't know enough about yourself and who you really are, then you go around acting like everybody wants you to act. And you're not being true to yourself and who you are, because you're here with a purpose right now. And if you're not sure of that purpose, it would be nice to find out what you're really here for. So that process of learning why you're here is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight, because it takes a while to integrate different stages that you're moving through along your journey. So you have to take your time. You have to give yourself time to awaken to who it is you really are. Why is this important? Because you're needed to be who it is you really are right now. So I'm hearing I have spent a great deal learning who it is that I am. And you move in stages. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. You're searching all over for finally that moment when you receive the I am, the great I am, which is receiving the moment of the great I am is like seeing who I am. But I'm seeing who I am in God. I am seeing my past lifetimes of who I have been, with God as my helper, with God working through me. Because I know in the past lifetimes that I've had where God's worked through me, God in past lifetimes has moved me to work with those sons of his that he sends down on the planet. So in the past, this Holy Grail goddess has had such assignments as Jacob, as Ezekiel, because they're one and the same, has worked with too many Osiris, Ra, as Isis, has worked as Mary Magdalene to Joshua and Joseph, and that's happened numerous lifetimes. And so it's awakening up to the number of lifetimes God has worked through me, through the mask of eternity. I am an eternal being. I am here and have been here for always. But in my eternity comes into me when I acknowledge that the Father and the Son are one with the goddess. So being in the state of Israel is Isis, Ra, and El. We looked at the combined state of the male and the female and the male and God. And that creates the state of oneness, which is Israel. I love that. It's such a wonderful thing. So if I am aware that over the past of my lifetimes being this, that I have accomplished these tasks for God and know that I'm called on to love his son. And like I'm saying, like my current husband is King David and then King Henry VIII. Yes, and right now I'm working with King Arthur. So to awaken him, to help them to move into the conscious realization that they too are vessels for God. That they too are vessels with God. And once that partner has been healed, has moved into the higher vibration of healing, they'll start to realize that they are also one with God. And they become a son of God. So I think what I'm saying is I've got a past history of helping different men throughout history come to know God. So those are my credentials. So I know that about myself. Now here's the kicker. When I know that about myself, I cease to worry whether it is something that you know or not. And I can and choose to let that go because we're not all in the same place vibrationally. And the higher you move vibrationally, the more truth you receive. But it's important for me to know my place in eternity, my place in the kingdom of heaven. Because when I understand who I was or who I am in the kingdom of heaven right now, when I understand who I am in the kingdom of heaven, heaven right now is coming to earth. And because heaven right now is coming to earth, those beings who are from heaven have to start being who they are on earth. And it's like the Avengers. Yes, there's 2 Avengers. I have to watch them, but a friend told me about the Avengers, and it's all about that. It's about the superheroes returning as to form one unit to fight the enemy. Right? So maybe, I think being in the matrix is the confusion and state of not knowing and going along with the flow and what everybody wants you to do and what everybody wants you to be. And you become lost in that mindset. You die to yourself. And that's why they're the walking dead. They're the zombies, those people that are in the matrix. Those that have awakened from the matrix are the ones that choose to know thyself, right? Remember the Oracle's Kitchen, know thyself. Once you know who you are, you can walk through that storm because you know you're eternal and you've walked through many storms and you're invincible, so that you're here to do this task, which is to vibrate your light and send the love of God out. Just be an antenna, just start loving. Just think of God and the beauty around you and start just sending love out. All right? We're the secret weapons. Those who have awakened in the matrix are the secret weapons. And that's why it's difficult for us to not conform, because we're rebels, and we need to be rebels. We need to be rebels in the sense that we are the one. We are the Neo. We are the Neo. And when we become the Morpheus, we recognize ourselves as the one. In other words, we're the one force when we come together that can knock out that dark side. We can blow it out of the park. And that's why the more of us that there are, the more of a threat we are, because the more light we produce as a one. But if you erase our numbers, then our energy and our power together as one source, one being, one light diminishes. So it's the plan to bring that light down. And the fastest way, which they figured out, to attack and bring down one of God's people, the arrow you want to shoot is fear. Because fear is the opposite of love, but fear drops frequency. Fear drops frequency. What elevates frequency? Love elevates frequency. So now it's all okay. I'm going to say, when somebody starts a war, they define the boundaries. They say, okay, we're going to have a war. We're going to keep it to this country, and we're just going to go. Just drop all the ammo on us you got, and we'll work it out in this country. We'll work it out in this country. Only what's happened is they've used the entire world as their arena, not just a country to have a war in. They thought, well, we're ready to take on the world. We're ready to take on the world because we've got a plan that is so mint, that is so great. We've got it down to the last T of how we're taking them down. And there's people in the world that are saying, no, you're not. You're not telling me what to do. You're not going to control me. I will not give up my free will. I will not surrender and say to you at any point that this is okay. Because it's not. And it's not who we are, and it's not who we were created to be. We were not created to be slaves. We are created as a race of gods. We are created as a race of vessels for the Word of God. So we ourselves are the energy of God walking around in all these millions of people on the planet. We're the energy of God. But what we have got to figure out is how to ignite. And it's when we can learn to ignite, and the process that we all need to do on a daily basis to ignite ourselves. Well, now we're the threat. And you can do it in your own home. Because that's what it is right now. The quickest way to figure out what to do is look where you are. What is right now is that we are isolated in our homes. So if that's where we're put, don't. If that's where we're put, that is what is too. But hearing this as well, God has a plan. Don't think God's a slouch and he's sloughing off this whole thing and hiding in the corner. Nuh-uh. God is working mightily through so many wonderful beings and people we can't even imagine. But that's what you have trust and faith for, because God's always the power and God always wins. Love always wins. So we already know that. So that's one of the first, I think it would be the first rule in heaven. God always wins. Look what happened to the person who challenged him. See you later. So God wins. And if God's bringing heaven to earth, then he's bringing more and more of himself in us. So people who are awake to this are going to come forward and say, I think we're in a war. We're on the side of God. How about you? If you're on the side of God, this is what we want to do. Okay? We have to communicate with one another, and we can do this through the internet and videos and what have you, but we can learn to communicate with each other and say, hey, this is what I'm doing today. This is my part of the war. My war effort is every day I'm meditating for 30 minutes and I'm sending love out to the planet, and I am working on forgiving. So my light is doing that. So there's one soldier who's working on meditating, sending out the light, and working on some issues for themselves. So being able to define the boundaries and to be able to give definition to what's really going on. What's really going on? Okay, bringing me back to that video. I'm sitting in my meditating chair, and then I'm hearing, get inside, who are you really? And I go, well, I remember who I am. Okay, well, you're the goddess. You've discovered that about yourself, and that's your belief, and that's your strength, because you believe in that. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. It's what I believe, and it's what I'm hearing, and I can trust it because it takes courage to believe it. Yeah, it doesn't take courage to come from ego. It takes courage to come from truth. I got that just before I was filming. So I'm hearing on the inside on Saturday, I started getting this information, and this I'm going to share with you what came to me, because I loved what came to me. What came to me was, what is this all about? What is this really all about? What's going on in 2020? We're in July now. What's really, really going on? And then I always ask the question, well, what's happening? What's happening in the world? And I go, okay, I'll tell you what's happening in the world. They're forcing people to wear something. And there's a lot of stuff about pedophilia coming out. There's a lot of stuff coming out that's just scary. So now I get the thought, because I've shared before, I read Joel S. Goldsmith a lot. So I read him that morning. And again, reminding us of what's out there is in here. What's out there is in here. Oh. So if what is out there is a reflection of what's going on in here, and we're hearing about these horrible things that are being done to children, and we say, how can that be? The child is you. The child is you. We can only create what's inside. And if all of our garbage is coming up now, they say that at this time we'll be crying, it'll be tough. It's because our little child was abused. Our little child, when we were younger, was abused. And at that moment that abuse happened to us as children, we died to who we are. The lights of God that we knew we were when we came in was put out, and then we spent the rest of our time trying to rediscover who we are and why we feel so hollow and empty and sad and lonely and feel like, we don't belong here, and all these thoughts come. So if all of that's going on out there, and it's reflecting what's going on in here, that means we are to revisit ourselves. It's like, again, the Wizard of Oz. You go back, like Dorothy did, through chaos. Through chaos. The twister, the storm on the farm. Right now we've got a storm. Oh, there's a storm around. It's crazy. It's crazy down here. What's up is up. What's down is down. What's right is right. Is wrong is wrong. Just like it was predicted it was happening. So now it's happening in here. We're all going, whoa. And where does the house land? Well, you wake up to the color, but you're back in your childhood. Now, why would you be sent back to your childhood? What's the journey Dorothy takes? She takes the journey from her childhood to her adulthood. And as she goes along, recovering herself, healing, going on a healing journey through Oz, through heaven, she has to start at her childhood. And there's a witch in her childhood. And so you want to look and see who the witch was for you. What face was on it? Uncle, a grandmother, a father, brother, whatever. There's a witch in your past. And the purpose of that is to explain to us very, very gently, as children of God, start to know God. Oz is heaven. Oz is God. So when you start your journey, you're going, I better get to know God. But who does she have with her the whole time is Toto, which is a dog, which is God spelled backwards. So she's in the world and she has to go backwards. So spell dog backwards, it's God. So she's off on this journey to recover herself. This is the journey we're all taking right now, and this is what will come out big time. It's why strong, awakened individuals cannot succumb and submit to keeping a secret and to be stifled, is that we've spent so much of our time trying to be heard. And once you go through that process of finding your voice, you're not going to stifle that voice. You're going to speak with that voice. You're going to stand up for yourself and say, I'm not, the only person I answer to is God, not you. God guides me, not you. God guides me. God guides me. And having that power and that strength to know that you're driven, you are driven, you are filled with God. And there's nothing that can harm you or hurt you. Nothing. Because you're protected. Don't you think God could do that? Don't you think you could? Sure. He has his protectors guiding you all the time that are the ones that tell you turn right, turn left, go here. I think I'm going to go over here. I was going to go over here. No, I don't think I'll go out today. I'm tired. All those signs, all those things are direction we receive in order to keep us safe. So if you're worried about catching something and dying, that is an invitation for it to happen. When you are understanding nothing can harm you, you come from more of a power position, more of I can go forward because I have faith. I have faith in God. God's going to protect us till we get this done. And anyone out there who's waffling a little bit on wondering what side to choose, or if it's really true, if this really is a battle between God and the dark one. Well, if you study your Bible, it's all there. It's all telling you this time's going to come. And it's happening right to the word, because we're creating it, because we're creating an ultimatum for ourselves. The ultimatum is, do we want to go on? Do we want to keep going on? Because we've been trying to keep the secret of our abuse since we were little. And all this stuff about abuse is coming up, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling sick, I'm anxious, I want to take my life. All these energies and feelings are coming up, and I'm so scared. That's your little child inside that's scared. The grown-up has nothing to fear. Championing your adult and telling your little child inside, it's okay, nothing's going to happen, you're safe. If you don't feel comfortable here, we'll stay here. If you don't feel comfortable, we'll stay here. Your adult is taking care of your little child right now and trying to keep them safe. So if you're hearing stuff that's too hard for you to hear, turn it off. You'll be able to process things that'll come to you in your own time. When you're ready to heal, you'll be drawn to the right teachers, the right channels to watch for guidance on how to move forward from the position we're all going to find ourselves in. And this is a cleansing, and this is a good thing. This is a God thing. This is a cleansing that's happening, and it is such a good thing that it's coming out, because coming into the dawn upon that at some point in this game, in this experiment, in this world that we are, I hear people describe it as a germ or some virus got put in our past, our race, in our DNA. And the virus is the death of the self. The virus is the death of the self and the godlight that you are, and complying and moving into robot mode and then operating as a slave for the rest of your life. So the process is to go back in Oz to find your little child. When were you hurt? Who hurt you? And how that has affected your life. Your whole life you've kept a secret because you want to protect your family, your friends, your brothers, your sister, and you internalize it. And therefore you might have led a life of alcoholism, of drug addiction, of shopping addictions. All these things you're doing to keep the secret. Well, now the secret's coming out. And the truth is, what's inside you is out. What's inside is out. Look around. This is what's inside of us. This is lying, hurting ourselves, hurting children. So this this thing that altered us is the killing of the self, killing of the little children as soon as they come in. They want to put those little children's lights out as fast as they can, and they then either through emotional, physical, or sexual abuse, put that light out, and the child then is stifled. The child then is made into be a black sheep. Is made make fun of this child because they take the patterning is passed on to them, and they take on that victim role. And when you awakened to the fact that you were assigned that role, but you took it on because you're a light being, and it was important that you learned your life lesson this lifetime by going through adversity and abuse when you were younger, because now that it's in the world, enough of us have awoken from that time where we've survived and brought our little children, our God self, back to life. And so now, because our God self is back to life, we're the warriors, we're the ones that are awake. So when someone tries to put one over on us, we're going to, don't put that over on me. I've done my work, I'm awake, I'm not a child. I've done my healing work, I became an adult. And when you are moving into this whole experience in the shoes of an adult, it's like you're making your own decision, and as an adult you learn that everything around you is for someone else's gain. Right now, if it's like you can bet everything out there is a lie, because who's got the most domination on the planet right now is the Dark One, because there is more fear being produced than light. And you can tell that by counting the number of people who are keeping a secret. They're keeping their secret because they don't want you to know that as perfect as everything looks in their life, they too were abused. They too suffered. They too had to kill themselves and become what mommy and daddy and everybody expected of them at the expense of their true self. So now you're walking around as a little child who's wounded in a grown-up outfit, and you're running the world. And some of them become abusers themselves. Some of them choose not to repeat the pattern. And those among us that are the abusers, they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to hear this message. Oh, there's something wrong with her. It's something like this. Let's listen to her. Oh, cuckoo, da, da, da. Whatever you want to say it. They're putting it down because they're scared. They're scared. They are so frightened to face the fact that they've been wounded, and it was by the people they trusted most. This wound of everyone finding out that their big political and entertainment figure, people they idolized, are wounded. What? I thought you were perfect. I thought you had my best interests at heart. What do you mean you were lying about that? What do you like? The truth is, when you go and you live in an adult body, but you're a little child inside, you turn off things you don't want to hear. La, la, la. Don't tell me that. I'm not going to bed. Blah, 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 blah. Don't tell me this is happening, blah, blah. I've got a perfect world. I've got a retirement fund. I've got everything I want going. Don't tell me something's wrong. I'm just going to sit here for the rest of my existence and enjoy all my hard work and traveling. And this is what my plan was. This is what I'm going to do. Well, when those people wake up and realize, oh, wait a minute, the game's afoot. This is now a game of figuring out that if we have the most light and we figure out ways to light everybody up with laughter, joy, comedy, sex, exercise, lifting our vibrational frequency up and moving into a faith in a higher source, moving into our connection as the God vibration, the voice of God on the planet. When we start seeing ourselves in eternity, and as heaven comes on to earth, we realize we are that God source. And now we start emanating light as we did in heaven. We become full of the God spirit here on earth. Heaven on earth is the spirit of God. God is the spirit of heaven on earth. So God is going to start coming to us now and wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Turn your light on, turn your light on. It's like you have to march through the storm, coming to the realization, okay, I'm not the only one this has happened to. This is something that was planned to happen to us as a race. And the game afoot is who can process this and move through it and get to the happy the fastest. You're going to cry. You're going to have to journal. You're going to have to meditate. Learn these things to get in touch with. You can refuse. Don't get me wrong. You have the choice. But if you're wanting to awaken, it's like you want to meditate. You want to journal. You want to move inside of yourself and come out of this in the happy. You've worked hard enough. Don't you want to see heaven? Don't you want to know what it's really like when we can actually walk on this planet and we're connected and the connection is love? We just see each other. We see God in one another and we honor one another. How's your day? How's your journey? I'm here to talk to you. Is there something you need? Like, everyone gets to be God for each other. How cool is that? But I guess the fight is afoot when it's up to us to really want to fight on the side of God and fight for God. And in order to do that, you have to think there's something better. Doesn't it make you feel depressed when they say this is all going to happen again? This is the new normal? Oh, wow. Boy, did they ever pick a great line when they got that. Like, just give up. Don't even try and find God. Don't even bother. Your light's so low. You're so negative. Oh, we just love that energy. Gonna suck it up. We love that fear energy. Keeps us strong and you in your place. Oh, those evil ones. Oh, let's talk about what the God side has. What does the God side have? Oh, so many of us. There's so many lights of God. But understand, if God is God and always is loving us, why could he let it happen? He let it happen to his own son. His own son died. You're all sons and daughters of God. And what it means to die is to die to the self to become God. Christ died to himself. So he allowed God to be the one to speak through him. And we are God's sons and daughters, and we too can die to ourselves and let God speak through us. And in that way, we all become the sons and daughters of God, because we're letting God speak through us. I'm going to be a vessel. I'm an antenna for God. Nope. I'm letting all the good stuff come through me, even though there's scary stuff going on. Yep, just the good stuff's coming here. Want to have a happy, tune in here. We're happy here. And that happiness comes from knowing that the battle's already won. God wins. God always wins. So whose side do you want to be on? Just take a barometer and how much daily fear do you have? Take the temperature. How much daily fear am I feeling today? How much fear they got me today? Oh, I'm so afraid today. One thing I read, a guy's afraid for his life to leave the house. Whoa! Ding, 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 10. Oh, they love him out there because he's radiating so much fear. He's a 10 out of 10. Oh, this guy's so scared. But he's out there anyway. He's so scared. Oh, look at the energy he's producing. Or you can make the conscious choice of when I walk out the door, I am a light for God and I'm just going to send love. I don't have to argue with anybody. I don't have to be confrontational. Just be aware that there's so many of God's children out there who are frightened. There's so many of God's children out there that are so frightened. And it's just because they're scared. They were scared when they were little. They had no one. They died. They had their self taken away. It was either beaten out of them or yelled out of them, or they learned it wasn't okay to be who they were. So they adopted a new persona, and they're empty inside because they've had to let their self die. So this whole process of all this incestuous behavior and all this pedophilia that's coming out is coming out because it's in you. It's in all of us. Don't think you're special or that you're exempt. If you look closely at your family patterns and the people in your family, who you liked, who you didn't, there's clues all along your childhood that will let you know. And what you're doing is you're releasing that fear. You're saying, okay, that was a very fearful thing and I was so scared when I was little, but it didn't kill me. I'm still here. and I'm going to go back and rescue my little child. So this is a rescue operation. So really, I would say the light beings, those of us, little children, who are all out there and so afraid, your job is to look after and rescue yourself. Once you find your little boy or little girl inside, go in your heart and you can talk to them and see where they are and see how they're feeling. And when you get in touch with that little person inside of you, whether they're lonely, sad, miserable, hurting themselves, hurting others, whatever you find in your heart, you start to love that little boy or girl in you and understand you weren't the only one, that this was planned. They planned to take you down. They planned to put your light out. And once you understand, like, it's like your anger starts. Well, that's not fair. Why would they do that? And who picks on kids? And how crappy it is that some beings would come to our planet and strike when we were young and we didn't know any better, and we were depending on our parents to look after us. But our parents have been wounded before they were parents to us. They were wounded as children. So that history of wounding goes on and on and on. And this is the ugly dark that's coming out. This is the root of all evil. It's the process where we die to ourselves and then we have to resurrect ourselves. So in this action of rescuing your little child within, you're actually resurrecting your God light. And when you come out, you emerge as your true light of God. This is what's happening. This is what's at stake. And this is the process in the spiritual realm. Coming into your full purpose, coming into this is a walk in the park. This is a cakewalk. So all I got to do, be like Dorothy, start in my childhood, figure out who I am, ask questions. You want to know who you are? You really want to know who you are? Ask your friends, what do you think of me? But what am I like? How easy am I to get along with? What quirks do I have? What's something about me you can't stand? And what's something about me that you love? Learn about yourself. Try to get in touch with how other people see you. And then take it inside, go, does that really match who it is I think I am? If I think I'm something wonderful and great, but everybody around me saying I'm annoying and I'm controlling, what is that saying to you? It's saying you don't know who you are. It says you've got a false identity on. And you have no problem keeping secrets. So you'll just go along and do what you're told, like a good little boy or girl. And that compliance is saying I'm asleep. It's like Siddhartha. He finds out the whole, not Siddhartha, it would be Arjuna. He finds out the whole kingdom's asleep. It's like the whole kingdom's asleep right now. And those of us who are awakening with that light of God and very gently wanting to say to everyone, you're really a light of God. You're really a light. You're not a slave. You're not to be put in that position. You're meant to be God, to be loving, to be peaceful and kind. And that true nature of who we really are, that true light of God is what will surface. Now, I've recently been made aware, I've probably listened to Paul Butler. They're expecting a big flash of light. And David Wilcox too, we love him too, so he's a pretty smart guy. So these guys, people are saying, well, I know, I can't say, I'm going to say they said it and someone says they didn't, but I will say, I have heard that there'll be a great flash of light December 21st, 2020. That being the case, that consciousness will be given to all of us. And so what you're hearing on this video right now may be a lot easier to hear with a higher level of consciousness. Yeah. So maybe I'm making this video for now or for later. But I guess I'm wanting to say as well, to be kind to ourselves, to be kind to one another during this time. And also, I quickly want to add on to this. This is a painful process, waking up to the true self, to die to what it is you've told and showed everybody you were, to really let them know who you are inside. And when we think people that show themselves as really, really good are really, really dark inside, it makes us wake up, and we're sad at it. We're sad because we believed it. We're sad because we trusted. And then we yell at ourselves for being foolish that we learned to trust somebody. And that's the innocence we're given. Don't let that go. There's going to be God people coming forward, good people coming forward, and you're going to be able to tell the difference. The more you open and see who you are, and start to feel who you are. Feel when you're sad, feel when you're happy, sleep when you're tired, eat when you're hungry. All these things, just listening to yourself. It doesn't feel good to do that. I'm not going to go tonight. Like, starting to get in touch with those feelings as they arise and letting that be okay. That's the really big first step. Just to be okay with how you're feeling. And trust you'll be led to every step along the way. And you will. And everything you're meant to hear will come to you. It's not just one of us doing this. It's all of us doing this. All of us who are awakened are, well, when they're called, will go and do what they're here to do. Because we're all in this together. We're here saying, you know, we represent God, and we've volunteered to come forward and guide you through this time. And hopefully say it in a way that you can hear it, and that you're comforted, and that you know that you're loved. You're loved by God. God's not going to leave you high and dry. He's going to send some pretty cool angels here, and they're gonna come and say, hey, it's okay. You know what? Everyone's going to be all right. I'm okay. I made it through. I awakened. I had to go back and revisit my painful past, and I made it through. Yeah, Barry Manilow. I'm listening to I Made It Through the Rain. I'm hearing that a number of times lately, but it's true. There's hope, and I know I'm committed to speaking when I'm guided to speak, and to help people along the way. And that's what I'm here to do. So thank you for listening to the video. I'm going to make another one in a minute, I can tell. But it's a different topic. But it'll probably just be a continuation of what I'm saying. Okay, thank you.